to Abandoned Mine. On this channel we explore all kinds of things that lie in the darker depths of this world. But on today's video, we're going to be discussing a channel called SklepovePodnozi. It's basically a series about Socky and Sockette. He's very controlling towards as this all unfolds. And many people think that maybe the guy behind the puppets, controlling the two puppets, that maybe he is a psychopath, a serial killer, or maybe that he traps children in his basement. Some people think it's just an ARG. But in today's video, I'm gonna find out which one is more plausible. So the series is called Untitled and Podnozi, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's in Czech actually language. That's all the whole series is. So I had to translate much of it as we went. And for the first episode, it's basically about where Socky gets to meet Sockette.
Už je tady. No přece Nanoška. Vítej ve svém novém domě.
Ach, tady je to ale krásné. Miluju špínu a pavouky.
So as you noticed a few weird things that happened during that episode, he was very anxious to meet Sockette, and when she comes over, he shows her around the house, and she kind of ooh, I like the spiders in the dirt. Another thing is, if you're wondering what the poster said on the wall, it just says home. It's nothing weird or cryptic, it just says home in Czech. Basically nothing really goes in the episode besides the fact that he basically just shows her around the house. Other than the fact that the episode ends with a phrase in Czech which says, I saw the beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diaphragms on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads, which is basically like an end times reference. It's I think it's actually a reference from Revelation actually in the Bible, the New King James Version. So that's what it's basically referencing in the end times. In this episode it seems to reveal that she is going to be the housemaid or something. So he obviously seems to use her as a slave or a housemaid or something like that.
Uběhoť hodin pár a Nanoška již cítila se skorož jako doma. Ponožek nadchnuť svou novou spolubydlenící provedl jí každičkým coulem podnoží.
Tady se vaří, tady se kouká, tady se...
A kde budu spát?
No přece tady.
Proč se o mě tak staráš?
Upevňuje pouto.
The main thing that, so far through these episodes, the main thing I've noticed that makes it creepy is the long pauses in between scenes. It's a bit uncomfortable, I must say. So if you notice take on this episode that you basically just saw parts of, the door, when he says the phrase in Czech, he is talking about an animal that's behind the door. I don't know what the animal is, but it's foreshadowing something, maybe evil or something, I don't know. But it seems to be foreshadowing. And then another thing is that if you notice each scene that he shows her seems to be kind of creepy and gross. And again, the episode obviously ends with another phrase that seems to reference the end times. And the dragon gave her his power and his throne and great authority, basically is what the phrase says. So it's another end times reference. So basically so far nothing really too weird has happened yet. This video they uploaded is not really an episode. It's not doesn't really have an intro. This is kind of like a extra or a bonus or whatever you'd like to call it. Basically, it's like a Mother's Day kind of video, but it's not really Mother's Day. So that was basically all there was in that video. Then episode 3 is called Behind the Truth.
Stala chvíle, kdy jí ponožek řád podnoží vysvětlit musel.
Dává se v 8, abychom se dobře vyspali, ale zase se moc nepřespali. Brzká Nanoška poděší ponožka. 8:30 až 10:30 se uklízí. 10:30 až 11:55 se vaří. A ve 12 se jí.
A kdo to všechno udělá?
No přece Nanoška.
A děláš taky něco ty? Tohle už není legrace. To by přeskočilo.
Nanoška nikam nepůjde!
In this episode, as you saw, he basically shows her the rules of the house, which the various rules are that when they should get up, play, cook, and clean. She asked him what he would do, and he didn't really reply. And then she says, "Not really fun. You get to just sit around and do all the chores," because basically he's making her do all the chores. He then freaks out. I can't really tell what he said, but he doesn't really seem happy. I tried to translate it. I used my phone to like try to, and I couldn't really translate what he said. But he doesn't seem happy with whatever he said. The episode then again ends with another phrase which references the end times. It seems to be like a repeating thing. Every time the show ends, they have another phrase of the end times. So that's all there really is in that episode.
Vím, že se Nanoška minule chovala poněkud nezvořile, ale nebojte, už jsme jí to vytloukli z hlavy, už se bude chovat. Povidlo znamená spoustu povidlostí. Musíte se starat, pečovat, jenže ne každý to dokáže. A proto musí mít tatínek s rodičkou. Tatínek si s povidlem hraje, tatínek povidlo učí, tatínek povidlo miluje, rodička povidlo přebaluje, rodička povidlo pere, rodička povidlo krmí a rodička k němu hlavně nesmí, pokud to nedovolím a bude sticha!
This episode is called Behavior. Very ironic because the last one, he basically got mad at her and I think basically beat her. They don't really show it, but that's what it alludes to. So basically he like beat her in the last episode. So this one's kind of ironic. He's talking about behavior. So Socky says that in the last episode, obviously Sockette was really bad, but he smashed the bad behavior out of her. Socky then starts to talk about how to behave, which seems aimed at Sockette. What's really weird about this episode that's different from the rest of them so far that we've seen is at the very end of the episode, the narrator or puppet master basically breaks the fourth wall because at the very end he throws the puppet. Maybe the puppet master is going to start breaking the fourth wall more. Maybe he'll answer in the video. I'm not sure. It's probably only going to get creepier from here.
Veškeré neshody a půtky směřovaly nakonec k dobrému konci.
To máme dneska krásně.
Svítí sluníčko, je teplo a vůbec je nám dobře.
To je hned jednomu do zpěvu. A bydlíme v SklepovePodnozi.
So that episode you just saw was called Before She Leaves. Basically, he talks about how they made up, and she says that, oh, the sun is shining well and it's warm with us. It seems like maybe he threatened her to say that or something like that because it seems kind of weird. Why would she say that when he basically just beat her, and then the next episode basically told her, like basically talked about bad behavior, which all alluded to her. And they sing a song where she says she loves him, and then they say goodbye. And I think it's mainly aimed at Sockette, who maybe she's leaving, maybe it's that relationship or something, and maybe he beat her or something, so alluding to that. They say goodbye, and the title of the episode is Before She Leaves. So obviously when they say goodbye, I think it's mainly her saying goodbye. So this next episode, before I show you, I just want to tell you, it doesn't really have a time card, and it kind of just begins with like a recording of a door, and the narrator this time kind of sounds female. They seem to reference the animal that was in the first one, calling it a bear, so I think maybe the animal is a bear. I don't know if we're going to get to see it or what in the future episodes, so I think that might be what it is.
Připravili jsme si toho pro vás spoustu, opravdu spoustu. Ženanožko, ano, podo. A, ženanožko, ano, ano.
Ty jsi nám rozbil pomůcku. Viktor zabil.
So as you notice, the differences in that episode were it's like they were talking to Victor. I don't know if Victor might be the puppet master. I don't know if that's the puppet master's name. Basically, the female narrator is mad at Victor for breaking her tool, whatever that is. They don't really say what it is. And they then discuss the bear again, which I think is behind the door that is shown in pretty much the whole episode. And they seem to have gotten lazier as we don't get the iconic end times reference in the very end of the episode. So it seems like overall things have gotten lazier. The next episode is their first animated one, so maybe things have ramped up a bit more, not as lazy. So
podnožek, byť ty Vánoce smuten, nebť chyběla mu nanožka.
Not much really happens in this one though, besides the fact that Socky kind of like says he misses Sockette, and Christmas is kind of sad because of that. So not much really in that one really happens. If you ask me, so far it seems like it is basically alluding to the 1999 creepypasta, which is about this kidnapper who like has kids trapped in his basement, because most of the scenes are kind of eerie. It seems old, like it was filmed in 1999, and the puppet master seems to have kind of like a temper, as he threw his puppet off his hand at the end of the third one. So if you ask me, it seems to be like an energy that alludes to that one. And the end times things, I don't really know if that's supposed to make it creepier or what. It's all in Czech, so it all needs to be translated, but when translated, it is all about end times and stuff like that. And so I think it's based off creepypasta. I think that's what it is.
Nikam nepůjde!
Dneska nám creepypast nepochází až jako tolik.
To vypadá takhle na tom malým docela reálně.
It's not really an episode, it's more of like a fan question Q&A kind of thing. It begins with the intro of the first episode, so it's kind of weird. The text message in the very beginning said, "Ask us." And then someone asked them, "Will Loronic or someone be at school today?" Although it was kind of hard to translate, so I'm not totally sure if that's what was said. But then the clip of Socky from episode 3 is then shown of him freaking out, where he like basically beats Sockette for asking him if what he will do that day during like the chores and stuff like that. Then another question is shown from a fan asking if the series will continue and when, because mainly obviously this episode is not the series, this is like different. They haven't really had any episodes since episode number 5, because they kind of got lazy, and then they had the one Christmas special, so like basically fantastic, when are you gonna make an actual episode again? And it doesn't really end with the quote, it's just basically like a Q&A kind of special, so not much really more than that for this one. So then their 9th upload, or I think it was their 10th upload, claims to have been made in 1989. Socky begins by asking us to like brush our teeth, which is kind of unusual because normally they ask you like grab your popcorn or whatever, because he says he's about to tell us a story.
Máte vyčistěné zuby? Jestli ne, tak nás popněte a běžte to rychle napravit. Nad celým vším vládne mudr. Unavený nečistotou, na níž musel hledět, stvořil mudrc hluboko pod věžemi pyšného Babylonu prostor zcela oddělený od okolního světa, do nějž nikdo než on a jeho lid nemohl, a nepstálo místo toto pod nohami zkažené Sodomy. Nazval jej sklepovým podnožím. Tak jak se vám pohádka líbila. A nelžete. Mudrc vidí vše a zlobidla nemá v lásce.
Za chvíli je tady. Rozluč se.
Dobrou noc, milé děti. Tak zase příště. Ahoj. Prosím, otevřete mysl od soul.
The story is full of many biblical references throughout. Much of what I'm sure is out of context, obviously, but the story revolves around the character named Sage. Socky seems to describe Sage like a godlike character. I don't really know who Victor is, but I believe it's the puppet master, because Victor was actually referenced back in the other episode, if you remember. The one after Socky left that doesn't really have an intro to it with just the door. So I don't really know who Victor is, but he references Victor again. And his face kind of like twists like a sinister kind of way. I don't know if Victor's evil or what Victor is, but he references Victor. He then just says goodbye and the episode ends.
Snad tě brzy pochopí, Otče.
So there's the episode that you just saw right there. He basically places a container with an unknown substance in a brick wall, and he says a phrase. What he basically said was, "Maybe he'll understand you soon." And then he says another word which means father. At the very end there was a phrase in text on the screen shown, which means Proud Children's Day. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. Maybe it's kind of like a children's show, but it's kind of really creepy. So it seems to be more of a reference to the 1999 creepypasta, because it says Proud Children's Day in the episode, and obviously in the creepypasta 1999, it's about this guy, this narrator that filmed basically a children's series, and he had children locked up in his basement. So that seems to be alluding to that series more, basically. So next episode, basically all that happens is Socky begins to tell how he got into a fit of rage and basically beat Sockette, but he stops before he says Sockette's name. His mom basically says, go on, give them what they want. And he like basically doesn't want to give them what they want, give us what we want basically. And his mom basically just beats him and punishes him. That's all that happens in the episode. So I can just show you the main parts of that episode.
W záchvatu hněvu?
No tak,
Proto v záchvatu hněvu?
pokračuj.
Proč ti musím mluvit, mami? Ty nemluv už o ní.
Mami, víš, že modrec nemá tohle svobodu. Neposloucháš, Viktore.
Prosím, já to nechci číst.
Dobře, podej mi ruku.
Mami, a to bolí.
So then this next video, before I show you, I just want to tell you this is the last video that the channel ever uploaded, or at least has uploaded at the moment. It basically shows Socky singing, so I'm going to show you it first, and then I can tell you basically what he's saying, so here it is.
Vítám vás, děti, v naší každý má vědět, kdy má jít, jinak se může povalit. Každý musí znát svůj cíl, musí se před ním poklonit, jen tak se můžeš zachránit. Jeho náruč hřeje víc a víc. Řekla jsi, že mě pustíš.
So basically that was the end of the last episode, basically the song. So it all seems to be alluding to like the end times. Obviously it is mostly based off a 1999 creepypasta, but it has a lot of end times references in it. Bowing to him more like Satan, the seven-headed reference in the first episode, I believe it is. So it all seems to be alluding to the end times. His story is about a lot of the biblical references. Socky basically throughout the whole series basically seems to be controlling, beats people when he doesn't get what he wants. So you can basically see he doesn't care about no one but himself, a very arrogant character. So after looking at all the evidence, looking at the channel, doing some research on it, and basically translating as much as I possibly can on this channel, I've come to a conclusion that I believe this is just like an ARG or a fan-made channel based off of the 1999 creepypasta. I do not think this is an actual guy that murders children or a psychopath, because there are no police reports obviously online or anything of this. Obviously, I'm not a police research or detective. The channel last uploaded a year ago, so maybe it was a crazy guy that got arrested, and maybe right now he's in jail. I'm not sure, but it's most likely possible that this is just a person making a fan-made creepy video. Because I mean, some of them are pretty intentionally creepy, with the sudden pauses in them, the really crappy green screens, the very warped music. Like, come on, like these videos are posted in 2017. We live in the 21st century here. We can make good audio. We can have all this stuff. They do claim to be from around 1999, 1998, I believe 1987 or something, around the time when the creepypasta story seems to take place. So it just seems like it's a fan-made account. Because if this were like some arrest thing, you think you would see it. This channel has like over 4,000 subscribers. And if it was an actual guy that got arrested, I think that'd be in the news. I just think it'd be in the news. If it was in the news, it'd be like some headline of like, man captures children in basement and records things for YouTube or something, and records a show for YouTube. Obviously, I think it's just a guy making a fan-made account. I mean, we've seen this before with Suicide Mouse. There was many fan-made videos on that. The biggest one being made by Gorix, I believe, still to date. So we know that. And if you remember, Mr. Bear, which was a bear that basically, similar to this one actually, was basically a guy that locked children in his basement. And the creepypasta ends with like him burning the house down or something like that because he didn't want to get caught. But people think he's still alive to this date. Okay, so real quick, I just want to cut in and tell you a few things I noticed while editing this video. While editing and translating the end times references at the end of each video, I noticed that each one is specifically taken from the 13th chapter of Revelation from the King James Version of the Bible. Most of them are. Some of them are not necessarily. Some of them are a bit more changed, but most of them are for the 13th chapter. Another thing I wanted to quickly point out was the 1999 creepypasta and the Mr. Bear creepypasta, they're the same thing. I keep talking about them like they're different. That's because I kind of forgot about that. But yes, Mr. Bear's Cellar, that's actually from the 99 Creepypasta, so when I bring those things up, they're the same thing. But if you remember, there's actually a fan-made channel that I think might actually have been removed from YouTube, I'm not sure, but it was called Local Catalan 25, which had like 4 or 5 fan-made videos of a guy who dressed in a bear suit, just like kind of like the Creepypasta goes, and it's really creepy. So I believe it's just another fan-made video, just like the ones we've seen in the past. Obviously, I'm not a police researcher. I don't have access to police documents to confirm that nothing went wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just an ARG. Some of the background throughout actually the series can be seen online in higher quality pictures, showing that obviously this was not actually filmed in 1999. So for those of you who think this series was filmed in 1999 and maybe it was like found footage and uploaded on YouTube, it's not. Literally, it seems like all the evidence is here. I just feel like if this was like a serial killer or something, I feel like they wouldn't be posting videos like this online. I feel like they'd be a bit different. Because like, I mean, you're making this creepy channel, you're making people think that. So like, if you're trying to have some fun online or something like that, you're gonna get caught. Unless obviously they wanted to do that to creep people out. But obviously I think it's just an ARG. That's all there is to it. With all the evidence and everything I've looked at and everything that I can access, I've come to the conclusion it's an ARG. So yeah, this you can rest easy that there's probably not a serial killer that owns this channel. If you want me to debunk more videos like this, or explain, or maybe do other creepy things, so make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want to see me do more stuff like that. Comment down below if you have any ideas for me, because I would love to see your ideas down below. If they're interesting enough, I might make a video on it. So make sure you like and subscribe. Check the description. There's actually a link to my main channel. It's called Buttered Up. And that's all I have for you. Bye.